Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here and checking out the series. You know what to do. Like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you how excited I am to have Finneas, let's say it right here, Finneas on the show. Hello.
Hey, man. How's it going today?
I'm all right.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man.
No, not a problem. You got a great new single that we got called Naked. Let's start there. Where does this one come from right here? Because it's a fun one.
Thanks, man. There's a couple places it comes from. I'm sort of noodling around constantly, like, let me write a little something. And I wrote this chorus now over a year ago, like a while ago, I wrote this chorus. And I just felt like it was really fun. And I was just pulling from that kind of like idea that I feel like we've all had, where you after a relationship has been over for a while, you think about this person that you used to be, like that used to be your confidant. You used to be like so intimate with that person. And then you kind of like look at them and you're like, wow, they're a stranger again. And I can't believe that person is like, knew everything about me, saw me naked, whatever. And I wanted to put something out the only live show I really was booked for this year was Coachella. And I really wanted to put something out pre-Coachella. And I have a bunch of songs written, but I thought that one would be really fun to play live. And I wanted to open the show with it. So that was sort of the main genesis of when I released it. It was like, this will be really fun to play at this festival, which it was. I was correct. I'm happy I did.
Now that you can grade yourself on that, it is fun, because I quickly realized when I needed to Google it, I'm Googling Finneas naked. That's the right. Words that you have to put in there.
Right. Yeah, I put up a billboard outside of Coachella that was like, I'm going to be performing naked this year. It was fun. It's been low-hanging fruit, as it were.
Seems like there's another pun just waiting to be said, even in the low-hanging fruit line there. That's
for sure. Yeah, that's a pun in and of itself. Good point.
What's that at the beginning? Is that who is that at the beginning of it? Because we hear voices.
It's a very, very old recording of me using a little thing called a Roland vocal transformer and just saying weird stuff with my voice all modulated. And I think it was so silly. There's the long form version of that is me being like talking about like everything I was insecure about or whatever, like all that kind of like intrusive thought, self-doubt stuff. And it's like a lot of that stuff feels, have you watched The Office?
Yeah.
The episode called Survivor Man, where he's like out in the woods.
Absolutely.
Screaming confessions. Like he's like, I have hemorrhoids. And he's just like in the woods. It thinks no one can hear him. I think that vocal transformer, I'm hemorrhoid free, but I think that vocal transformer was like I felt very free. And I was like, just sort of like, so I said, yeah, I dated blank because I was a coward, which is such a, I don't know that that's necessarily even true, but in that moment, that's how it felt.
I can relate to that. I've had those moments where I think I did date people because I was a coward. So yeah, that's and obviously it's an interesting play on the words there of naked and just vulnerability and what's going on. I mean, it's you do that really well.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, all throughout your catalog. When you're writing these songs, I don't know if this much thought has to be put into it, but like, because you do wear so many styles so well. I mean, I think of songs like Medieval, only a lifetime, where you've got a little Nilsson in there. It's when I hear those, I'm like, he's got a little Nilsson in him, like Harry Nilsson. Like, is that a thought process where you have to choose, like, what is this style going to be? What is the sound of this song going to be?
Yeah, I mean, all my favorite artists have breadth, so I'm happy to have breadth. I mean, I don't like it all has to feel authentic coming out of my mouth. That's like the number one thing that I worry about is like, if I say something where you're like, it doesn't sound like him, I don't buy it. So I think that's sort of the number one rule I try to follow. It's just like, does this feel like me? And then kind of on a sonic plane, like I play around a lot, but it's really more about like what I'm singing, what I'm saying. That's like, that stuff has to feel true,
Mm-hmm. Mhm. Well, that's, I mean, some of my favorite work that you've done.
Thanks, man.
I don't mean to make an awkward moment here. I know it gets a little bit darker, but when I bring up a song like "The Kids Are All Dying" because of
Yeah, sure.
the week that we're in right now, I mean,
Oh
when
my
we talk
God.
about breadth, because
Yeah.
there's a handful of songs that just come to mind for, of course, all the wrong reasons
Mm-hmm.
that we're going through, and that was one of them right there. I mean, I hope you don't mind quoting you here. How can you sing about love? The kids are all dying. You have a song like this, and then you have the events that's happening in the world, school shootings, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that say about? I mean, I guess what I'm asking here is, does that change how you feel about the songs that you wrote in those real-time moments? Not that you regret them. That's not what I'm asking. But when those come to mind, like what comes to mind?
I can't wait for that song to be irrelevant. I'd love for it to be irrelevant, and I wish when I wrote it, I thought it would be irrelevant soon. But I thought, this is going to be true for a long time, unfortunately, largely because of our government being cowardly. But yeah, I mean, and that song, more than anything, was really just a song about the rest of the music I make, about like, how can I sing about, love, drugs, sex, whatever, like those are the things I'm saying, but it's like, how can I sing about kind of anything / like nothing when there's this thing that needs to be addressed? Like the whole system feels a little bit like being a musician, being like a pop culture participant as an audience member or as an artist. It's a little bit like baking a cake while your house is flooding. Like, you could focus really hard on the cake, but you should probably stop the leak first. Like, right. I don't know, like, and you have 4 people in your house who are like, I can't wait for you to finish the cake. You're like, right, but the house is flooding. Like, it can feel really silly to be singing about your broken heart when, kids are being massacred. And then the flip side of relevance and culture is like, I don't ever want to seem like I'm milking that or commodifying that ever. That's not my, position. And I also think that, the now the Chicks, formerly the Dixie Chicks, they had that documentary called Shut Up and Sing,
fantastic documentary.
It's really great, but people have a real shut up and sing attitude towards artists in general, and I feel like if you cross over one too many times, you're deemed a political artist. You're like, that's your thing. And there are amazing political artists, but it's like, I think the human experience is everything. So I wouldn't want to not write protest songs, and I wouldn't want to write only protest songs, because I don't think either would be authentic. But yeah, man, I mean, it's hard to watch these things happen over and over. I think that's been I've been reassured to see that everyone's response to this school shooting has been rage. Finally, right. I feel like, it's the time for how could this happen is long gone. It's been happening. It's a repeating instance. There should be no wondering why or how. So,
yeah, that's, I mean, all my favorite artists are the ones who have done, the best job that they could of reflecting the world around them. That means everything, as you're saying. That does mean, they're how they see love, but it also means what's happening in the world around us. And I wonder, is the same way a lot of artists decided to write songs about isolation over the past couple of years. I am hopeful that they'll turn around and that the outrage will continue. I think so, amongst all the art that they might be putting out. But I think it's a good time for everybody to kind of rally around and for these songs to come out there.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people keep talking about it.
Yeah, I will say, and again, this is always awkward transitions where we're talking about this stuff, but the way you do this, it's still so catchy. You turned Scotland Burned in 44 into a hook.
Thanks, man. Very proud of that line. That the songwriting for me often is like a history lesson in and of itself. So like that little, like when you're learning piano or like the flute or whatever, you learn this thing called Scotland's Burning. Scotland's burning, Scotland's burning. Look out, look out. Fire, 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 fire. Pour on water. It's this like interval thing. It's this little like limerick. And I was like looking it up one day, and it happened in, I think it's like 1644. It happened hundreds of years ago. The Great Fire of Scotland. And I needed it to rhyme with war. So that was the real benefit, was that it was in 44. So pumped on that.
Well done. I don't know that a lot of people would have realized the hook in that line right there. So good on you.
Yeah.
It's so I mean, so we get back to Naked, and it is, you know, right now a one-off single for you. But I mean, do you see this as starting the stepping stones? Because of course you just put out an album just last year, so I don't know how quick, you know, you're looking to turn around another collection, but is that on your mind?
Oh yeah, I'm a pretty prolific writer. For anyone curious about the definition of prolific, because I see people misuse that word a lot. Prolific just means you make a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean you're a genius. I feel I didn't want people to think I was being like, I'm pretty brilliant. I just make a lot. So I have a lot of songs written in various stages of being recorded. I'd love to put out another body of work this year, and I just fit the like my life of work is sort of like a pie chart, and the biggest chunk just now was scoring this movie called Vengeance for BJ Novak, which just finished up, which was a joy, but very all-encompassing for a couple months. So that was kind of like all I was doing. Now I'm really excited to dive back into not only my own album, but Billie's next album, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and I'll bring up that you did also the score to the Fallout, which we
did,
heard. Yeah, that was. I mean, that's such good. That seemed like a natural jump for you. I mean, even just hearing, you know, the work that you've done on your own with Billie and everything, those sounds, like, did it feel natural as it eventually came off sounding?
Yeah, I love the way it turned out, and it was really fun to work on. And I think that movie, again, wildly timely and relevant, unfortunately, but an incredible movie regardless. And you know, props to these people like Megan and BJ for giving me these opportunities to learn a craft that I don't know already. I've always wanted to score movies, but I've never done it. So it's been a real treat to get to immerse myself in that and learn, you know. I'm sure I have a myriad of shortcomings that they're dealing with, but I'm getting better. So it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, the prolific part that comes up right there. I mean, because again, we're talking like you put out your own record, you and Billie put out the record. You've got the scores that you're doing here. Like, how do you keep it from feeling like mechanical?
Well, doing the variety of different things really helps with that, right? So I'll use, you know, I'm not really leaking anything that isn't in the trailer now, so I feel fine about that. The movie Vengeance, which I just scored, it almost all takes place in Texas, but it's about a guy who has a podcast, and he's in Texas with his podcast, kind of doing like a murder mystery podcast. And so I got to do this film score that was like sort of podcast-esque. Think of whatever you want to think of. Think of the theme songs for The Daily and Smartless and any number of, you know, Serial, whatever these amazing podcasts are that have this great interstitial music. So I got to do kind of a bed of like podcasty stuff, and then I got to do all this like spaghetti western Ennio Morricone, like whistles and yeehaws and bells and baritone guitar, and I got to kind of combine them. So like, not only was I getting to do something that like hopefully hasn't been done the same way I'm doing it, because it's this common thing, but it's like something I would never otherwise have an excuse to do. You know what I mean? Like it would be rare for an artist to come into me and being like, I want podcast spaghetti western. That's the vibe. But because of this movie, it's like, that's perfect. And it's like, that's how it's got to be suspenseful, but humorous. But so it was like such a great palette shift for me of like, this is nothing like stuff I've made before. And so that was really exciting. And that makes me want to dive back into Billie's world and make new stuff with her that feels perfectly, you know, in keeping with everything she is all about. So yeah, I would say that's been the number one way I stay inspired, is just broadening my horizons, just like doing a lot of different stuff. I feel like the least inspired I ever feel is like when I'm just doing the same thing every day. It's like all about the variety for me.
I feel like not that I ever would, I'm not a musician, but if I ever had to score something, it'd be like, how quick can I get to Morricone? How quick can I get to Blade Runner? You know, as far as what I can pull off here, that's like the two. So cool. Yeah.
They're so cool.
Yeah. I don't know if pipe dreams. I'll just let you do the work. I'll let you do the work. But, you know, in that sense, then does it become obvious to you when you're writing what's going to go to which project? I mean, obviously you get a song like, is this mine? Is this something for Billie's? Do you write like that?
I'm pretty focused before I'm sitting down. You know what I mean? I'm pretty like sitting down to write a solo record, sitting down to write somebody else's record, sitting down to write something for film. Like I go into it with an objective. And sometimes I get sidetracked. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm going to try to write a song for myself. And in the middle of it, I go, this is going to be way better if I write it for somebody else. And so I'll change, but I usually go into it with an agenda, even if I change my agenda.
Yeah. No regrets afterwards. Like, oh, I wish I'd kept that one for myself.
No, I never wish I'd kept it for myself, really, because everybody else, like I'm such a fan of artists. So like hearing Justin Bieber sing a song that Benny and I wrote is like, what a joy. Like what an incredible singer. Hearing Billie sing When the Party's Over, like these are people that I love the voices of. So no.
Yeah. Speaking of collaborations, I just had Ashe on the show awesome. A couple of weeks back, and
nice.
You know, I know you guys are friends, but you know, just she only says nice things about your all's collaborations, and that was a great track as well.
God, I love her. We sang on Till Forever together, and then I executive produced the 2 EPs that Moral of the Story was on, Moral of the Story Part 1, Moral of the Story Part 2. There's some great songs on there, really great. And I was just writing a song the other day and thinking I might have to have Ashe on this song. So maybe there'll be even more. I think that's like, she's one of those people, we've talked about this a lot, where like I feel like her artistic self and my artistic self are like living on the same block. Where like some of the artists that I get to produce for, I'm very different than as an artist, which is like cool. That's why I like working with them. But I feel like her songs, my songs, like they're like, you know, they're friends.
Yeah. And the stuff I've heard from her new record is so fun. And it really is. It's like, it's hitting the mark so perfectly too.
I love her new record.
Yeah. Well, back to you. And again, I'll only throw the compliments to you. Naked. I mean, again, this is the fun one. A teaser in whatever way. I just love all the styles that you do and all the songs that you do. I'm such a fan. So
thanks, man. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. And you know, any timeline and when the next one comes around? I mean, are we looking later in the year?
Yeah, summertime. I think there'll be one. I think we're looking at July. There'll be another song in July. Another fun one. Right, seasonally appropriate, if you will.
Right on. All right, Finneas, thank you so much again for taking the time.
Good to talk to you.
All right, we'll see you around.
All right, take care.